Hello and welcome to Living History. I'm your host, Mike Hauser, and with us today is Gayle Simpson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us and tell us a little bit about your experiences here in the Conejo Valley.
It's a pleasure.
When did you first come to the Conejo Valley?
We actually moved here about 1982, but my husband is assistant superintendent for the school district. He had started about 4 years before, so we would be back and forth with his meetings and everything, and we were living in Ventura at the time. So we decided it would be advantageous to actually live here since he was working here all day and mostly in the evenings as well.
Now, may I ask you, how much did you pay for your first home here in Thousand Oaks?
Actually, I think our first home, and we're still in the same home, was about $155,000.
And today?
Now it's probably worth almost $400,000. It's an older neighborhood, but it has a larger yard and larger side parcel, so we've just stayed put. We like it.
Okay. And you are a teacher by profession?
Yes, I am. I'm an artist and a teacher, and right now I'm teaching 4th grade.
4th grade. What were some of your earliest memories of Thousand Oaks? What was Thousand Oaks like 20 plus years ago?
20 plus years ago, you were more aware of rolling hills, quite a bit less traffic, definitely not as crowded feeling, though it's interesting as it's grown. It's interesting to see the different types of developments that come in. The services are definitely better now, more opportunities for shopping. The Civic Arts Plaza was not here then, and that was a big loss because you had to go all the way to Los Angeles, or you'd go up to Ventura College, or you'd go up to UCSB, but you really weren't very close to that many activities. Right. Pepperdine also, that was a good one too.
Now, speaking of the Civic Arts Plaza, what do you think about the Civic Arts Plaza? Good decision, bad decision?
Excellent decision. There was a lot of controversy, but as you know, in Thousand Oaks, every time anything new and exciting comes here, there's always controversy. So I think you could probably hand people out free $1,000 bills and they would complain, or there would be some controversy by someone. But we needed the theater badly, and the Arts Commission and some volunteers were very busy in going house to house trying to get people to sign petitions to help people like Alex Fiore, Frank Shillow, Grant Brimhall get it going. Because the powers that be knew it was going to be a great thing. We just needed to sell the city on the idea. The city, i.e. the people that live here. We needed to convince the citizens that really this was going to be well used. And of course, time has proven that it's really well used.
So you're not surprised at all by the success of the plaza at all?
I remember the first year when we were buying tickets, you had to go to the Oaks Mall, and there was a little tiny kind of venue there where you would purchase your tickets. And I remember that first year everyone had their Visa cards out and put $1,000 or $2,000 worth on the card the first year just because there were so many headliners coming, so many fabulous people to see, you couldn't decide.
Right.
So it was very exciting. It's always been exciting.
Good. Now, you have also participated as part of the governing of the city with participation on the Arts Commission. Tell the folks a little bit about what the Arts Commission is all about, what it does.
Well, at the time I was on the Arts Commission, it was very difficult to get on the Arts Commission. It was very competitive. So I felt honored that I was able to be on it. And I was representing primarily the visual arts, and I also am very musical. And I had been involved in things in those realms. So I remember when they were interviewing people, they wanted people from different walks of life. I remember that there were people with a theater emphasis. There were people with a dance emphasis. I remember Kate Brown at the time, who was one of the newspaper society editors. She joined the Arts Commission at the same time I did. In fact, I was very excited to be on the Arts Commission, and then I found out that Kate Brown was accepted the same time, and I thought, oh, Kate Brown. You know, she was so well known. I thought, okay, well, I'll just be her little quiet sidekick.
Right.
So, but it was basically people that wanted to help the city move forward, and especially with the new Civic Arts Plaza on the horizon, you know, trying to just make sure all the needs were met.
Now, you also were involved in the creation of the community gallery over at Newberry Park. Tell us a little bit about how that project got off the ground and what it took to make it a reality.
Well, it was very busy. Those 3 or 4 years, you had a lot of things happening. You still had the Cultural Arts Center up at Green Meadow, the old Jan's home. So a lot of the art activities would occur up there. So all of a sudden now we're expanding to the 2 theaters here. And we needed a gallery, and there was the Conejo Valley Art Museum existed for a few years, but it was hard for them consistently to be able to pay bills. It's an expensive operation. and sometimes different political elements would be in control of the museum. So we felt at the Arts Commission, and I think the city felt too, that we needed a better place to showcase local artists. And people like Phil Doyon, I remember Grant, Alex, Frank, Tammy McLean, Joe. A lot of people really worked hard to put that gallery together. And it turned out there was a grocery store there that was moving because they were building a new one. So that space was up for lease. I can't remember if the library was, I think it was built first, and then they had this adjacent space that wouldn't work for the library. And someone had a brilliant idea, I'm sure in City Hall, that this could be a good community gallery. But basically, grassroots, we had to make it happen. So when we opened, there was no lighting, just minimal light. There was no carpeting, a few tables. I think Phil Doyon got us the refrigerator. You know, people would donate things for art auctions, and it was hard to get it going, but it was used a lot. It still is used a lot.
And now it's a showcase for showing artwork.
It's a great gallery.
The community.
There's one organization that I belong to that's the Gold Coast Watercolor Society. They usually have a yearly show there. They also have a yearly show up at the Ojai Art Center. So, and that's a huge organization. And it's judged by professional judges throughout California. So that's a show I know that's there. Thousand Oaks Art Association uses it a lot. It's a well-used gallery. It's great.
Now, does the city do a good job of supporting the arts in the community?
I've always felt the city did a good job supporting the arts. Some of the political factions that were running the Conejo Valley Art Museum at the time kept begging the city for help, but they were not able to meet the bills. And also it tended to be a little bit of a clique that was running the museum, and we needed a community gallery that was open to everyone. So everyone's needs have been met. It just has gotten better over the years.
Now, in the 20 plus years that you've been in the Conejo Valley, what's the single biggest change that's occurred over that period of time?
The most positive change, I think, is the access to things like programs that come to the Civic Arts Plaza. It's not just professional performers, it's also available for school groups. The New West Symphony is incredible. The LA Philharmonic has been up a couple times, you know, so we have access to a lot of really great things. But educationally, thousands and thousands of children come through every year too. There's one program called Symphonic Adventures that my husband helped start for the school district, and they bring in every single, I want to say, third grader for the whole district every year, and they have done that, I think, for 8 or 10 years. So it meets a lot of needs. Refocus me on the question because I'm forgetting what else I have to answer.
Quite all right. What's the biggest change that's occurred?
Okay, negatively, the traffic is probably the worst change. And it's certainly not the city father's fault. It's, I feel, a Caltrans and state of California type issue. I feel they didn't plan many years ahead of time to help that infrastructure.
Is Thousand Oaks too big?
I don't think we're too big. I just think the freeways were not built to accommodate the people because, from my understanding, development-wise, we decided probably 15 years ago what Thousand Oaks could handle. And when you watch city council meetings and you see the developer units, there's only a little bit granted each year, and we're almost at build-out. And it's a well-planned community. We have one of the best park systems of anywhere that we've ever visited. A great recreation system. It's just the traffic is really something else, you know, for people coming and going through this area. But other than that, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Good. How would you rate the schools?
The schools are excellent, I think. I'm probably a little biased because my husband has been assistant superintendent of this district for more than 25 years now. But we have 2 children that have gone through this school system, and I think we're probably just above average people, and my son was valedictorian. They both have gone to college. My daughter has a full ride for a master's program. They went to Conejo schools all the way through from K through 12.
Good.
So we're happy.
What's been your most memorable experience living here in Thousand Oaks?
I think it's an area with a lot of opportunity. Probably my most memorable thing would be when I was in volunteers and policing for a couple years. There was a point when in the Arts Commission we started talking about graffiti. So this would have to be at least 15, 16 years ago. And I remember that Grant Brimhall and Mary Jane Laz helped get together a committee to get rid of graffiti on weekends as fast as it pops up. And the gang activity at that point was starting to rise a little bit, and there were a lot of people, some people were actually bringing in kids from other areas, and I'm not sure how it all started, but anyway, we had a lot of people that were in conflict, and there was a lot of graffiti, there were a lot of problems. So I decided to join VIP because I thought I will help save the world and end the gang problem.
Now,
So,
for those people that don't know, VIP stands for Volunteers in Policing.
Volunteers in Policing.
Tell us a little bit about that
A
program.
lot of senior citizens are involved in it. Actually, quite a few teachers like myself were involved in it for a while. The only reason I stopped was I went back to the classroom for a few years with 2 in college. That seemed like the practical thing to do. But it was a great way to alleviate some of the stress on officers. They have to do so much paperwork. They have to do everything. They have to go out, every single Sunday and Monday. There are tons of reports, theft reports. VIPs can go out and they can take the theft report. We could fingerprint people. We could do Code 5. You're watching something, you're parking on a spot and just observing. If something happens, there's a bank robbery in the area, even if it's a VIP unit, they just go to wherever they are. They check in with Station 10 or whatever, and they tell them they're there, and they just watch. So it was more sets of eyes and more sets of brains helping. And we would be out about 6 hours at a time. And you had to actually take a 10-week course and be certified. You had to be able to drive the donated old Dodge, I think they're Victoria police cars, backwards through cones with the brake off, about 40 miles an hour, and not run over a cone. You had to be responsible. You had to log everything. Right. And if anything happened on your shift, you were there till 1 or 2 in the morning.
Wow, that was quite a commitment of time.
So it's a good commitment. There's a lot of people that still do it. There are a lot of great people that do it. And but people are rude sometimes to you. And it kind of helps you think of what it would be like to have a law enforcement career. They put up with a lot of stress.
Right.
So it was good. It was interesting.
We've talked a little bit about some of the good things about Thousand Oaks. Are there some shortcomings? There's some places where we haven't done as good a job as we should have in either planning the community or delivering services?
I think from a city standpoint, I think that when I say we, I'm a citizen of the city. I think we've always had good services. I mean, we have hazardous drop-off days. There's communities that we visit that have nothing like that. We have phenomenal services. I think sometimes I get annoyed at the city council meetings with people that come week after week and now year after year, and they're negative on everything. They're never positive on anything. They don't have anything beneficial to say. But legally, everyone has to have a certain number of minutes because we're a democracy. But it's very annoying. And this is the only city that I've ever lived in or played in where I see people be so generous with time for the people that complain all the time. So, and sometimes, in markets or restaurants or whatever, I feel there's a little high stress here. There's some people that can't relax. When they see the little signs that say you're home, slow down. There's some people that just even in their recreational time, they don't slow down. So that would be a drawback, because people need to just chill a little, relax, be thankful for what they have. It was a total contrast from living in Ventura. Ventura is very family-oriented. It's very quaint. People seem calmer. They sense it too. I have friends.
A little closer to the water.
Maybe. Friends in Santa Barbara and Ventura, they say, what is it with Thousand Oaks when you're shopping? People don't want to give you that parking place. So I said, everyone's not like that. It's just a few people.
Looking forward, say 10 or 20 years, what's going to be the biggest challenge facing Thousand Oaks?
I think our biggest challenge is probably the traffic. When the 405 is remodeled and the 23 is remodeled, and you figure that's going to take 3 or 4 years, that's going to fray a lot of nerves. In terms of, I think the schools are fine, the recreational activities are great. I'm hoping that we get an IMAX theater and something, because we need more things here that we can go to here so we don't have to drive 1 or 2 hours to get there, especially for school children for field trips. That would be fabulous. The Children's Museum, the Science Discovery Museum, that's fabulous. I think we have a great future. I just think I think people need to support more what the city plan is, because it's all kind of planned out logically. Sometimes people move in from another community and they're upset because something isn't exactly like it was where they lived before, but they don't understand the history and everything that everyone's tried to do to make it this great. I mean, we have such a fabulous library. There's students that I have in SEME whose families pay to join our library because our Thousand Oaks Library is phenomenal.
Wonderful. Which person or which one person do you think has had the biggest influence on the way Thousand Oaks is today?
I would say from sitting in on all the meetings that I used to attend and watching city council meetings, looking over the past, I know Grant Brimhall, Alex Fiore, Frank Shillow, but see, you have so many background people too.
Like?
You know, Mary Jane Laz has contributed a lot to the city. There's some people that just contribute culturally. I'm thinking of the people that pretty much had a general plan for many, many years.
Okay. How about yourself? What's your biggest accomplishment?
My biggest accomplishment personally is with my teaching. I'm very interested in science and space. So I have about 12 students that have won NASA awards over the past 3 years. So educationally, that's probably what I'm proudest of. Artistically and musically, I kind of go back and forth. I paint up a storm for 6 or 7 months, and then I have to just do all sorts of music stuff for a while. So we have a chorus at my school. So basically, my husband and I feel like wherever you are, you should do as much as you can, accomplish as much as you can, no matter where you live. So we're always trying to get a lot of things done. Most of the time, we're in the background, and it's just fine. So there's a lot of background people that have to help bring things forward. You don't really need the glory for it. You just have to be out there helping.
Right.
So, you know, basically we feel like we've helped accomplish a lot while we're here. We weren't sitting there just being vegetables in the, you know, field patch doing nothing. So
if I gave you just 2 sentences to describe Thousand Oaks to somebody who had never been here before, how would you describe it?
Thousand Oaks has kind of a spiritual feeling to it, and I think after studying the Chumash Indians, maybe this is just a very interesting place where maybe tribes not only lived, but maybe they did exchanges or whatever, because I know a lot of people that have started businesses here and a lot of successful things, so it's just kind of a really on area. It has good karma. How's that? It's just an interesting place. It's not too rural, but it's not too urban.
You have any heroes?
My most recent heroes would definitely be the 7 astronauts that we just lost.
That's in the Columbia.
In the Columbia STS-107. To me, anybody who accomplishes anything great for children or for poor people, you know, those would be heroes. You know, they're kind of everyday heroes where maybe when Oprah once a year, you know, brings up the 15 or 16 top people in the country and you see what they're doing, you never hear about them, you never read about them, but you're totally impressed with what they've been able to accomplish. Those would be my heroes. In terms of politicians, some politicians let you down because they say one thing and do another. So politically, Elton Gallagher has been very good for this area. Bob Lagomarsino was wonderful for our area. Those 2 people, I think, followed through on a lot of things that they said they would do for the area. They're the type of people when they come visit school, some politicians all stand in the corner and they talk to each other, but someone like Elton or Bob, actually they stop and talk to the kids. So I respect people like that who still don't lose touch with people.
And in terms of our own city council, do you have any advice for them?
I feel very sorry for everything they have to listen to. It's a different city council now. It's changed. It'll be interesting to see what happens. You know, it's hard to say. They all have good hearts in certain areas, but sometimes they're not as effective as I think that they could be. Sometimes it's better to have a 3-2 going in the right direction. So, you know, they might not consider that, but sometimes people come with an issue, and it's the same thing, you know, with school boards where there's one issue and someone just wants to beat that issue to death, but there's so much more out there happening.
So it would be
I don't have any heroes on the city council. I just respect I respect what they do. I think we've had past stronger city councils.
Who do you think's been the strongest city council that we've had since you've lived here?
I'll say probably, well, it's going to be probably 3 city councils ago. I'm thinking whenever, I don't even have a vision because we've gone through so many people. I really don't have a vision for like what 5, I have always had some favorites, and I've always hoped that they vote the right way, and they usually do.
And your favorites?
So, it's going to be back in the time, is it Denny Gillette is on now still.
That's
He's
right.
pretty good. His head and heart's in the right place. I'm thinking back on the time when all the things were happening, like Jungle Land was purchased, and we went ahead with the Civic Arts Plaza. The city council that was responsible for helping get the school theaters going, they'd been promised a long time ago, and finally helped the fees go through. I kind of look at what their accomplishments are. That's how I would value and weigh how far we got as a city. I just show me the names of the 5 city council people and show me what they accomplished. And the ones that argue a lot less and just have a lot of action, I'm more impressed with.
Do you have a personal motto?
Personally, I just like to accomplish a lot. I like to help a lot of people accomplish things. If people think they're not capable of doing something, then I usually try to help them do it. So I guess I would just say don't waste any time. Just get some things done and help people accomplish things.
How would you like history to remember you?
I guess as a mom that raised 2 spectacular kids, married to a wonderful person who is a great school district person, who's made a lot of really good things happen for the community kind of in the background. And as a good teacher, I'm happy with a lot of my accomplishments with my students. I'm a pretty good artist. I love music. I have little side activities, you know, I floral design, I do gardening, whatever, just all the usual, but just basically getting a lot of things done. I just don't want to be one of those people that was wasting time while they were here on the planet.
Anything that I haven't asked you that I should have?
Let's see, I was born and raised in Saratoga in the Santa Clara Valley. I was an artist in residence in Yosemite once for a summer. That was very interesting. You had to teach anyone that showed up every day for 7 days. So even park rangers would come for free art lessons. That was pretty cool. And other than that, probably I've touched on most things. I'm hoping to go back to VIP after I retire from teaching because I think it's really worthwhile. So, and the crime rate, unfortunately, will go up because it's just the nature of where we live, and so I'm hoping maybe to get back involved with that in a few years.
Well, Gayle, thank you very much for spending some time with us and answering our questions. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Living History. We look forward to seeing you next time.